So if you feel like you've been stuck dieting for a while now, things are just not moving as fast as you'd like, or they're not moving at all, and you're having a hard time seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, in this video, I want to share with you what I personally do to speed up fat loss. Because the last thing I want on my fitness journey is for dieting to be any longer than it has to. I want to go back to building muscle, increasing my strength levels, and simply moving on with my life. Because dieting is stressful. Dieting requires attention. Diet fatigue is a real thing. I want to be efficient. I want to make sure you're efficient. Because remember, at the end of the day, dieting is revealing the physique that you have, and you want to switch over to a muscle building phase as soon as possible to actually build that physique. So without any further ado, let's dive into how you can speed up fat loss. So the first thing that I found worked really well for me when it comes to diet consistency and avoiding slip-ups is managing my food drive. And here's what I mean by this. So it's very popular these days to use cookbooks and recipes and 0-calorie sweeteners and all this kind of stuff where you can make these tasty low-calorie foods and to make the diet more enjoyable. But for me personally, this approach does not work. And here's what usually happens. So as I diet, as I'm getting leaner, my food drive increases. And this is normal. This is going to happen to you. It happens to everybody. So we just get more motivated to seek out food. Of course, that's natural. But what I've noticed when I try to make my diet more enjoyable and using these recipes, my food drive goes up dramatically. And now I have to use a ton of discipline and willpower to control myself from overeating. So I have a choice to make. On one hand, I can have a super enjoyable diet and have to use a ton of discipline to be consistent, or I can make the diet a little bit simpler and easier to stick with, a little bit blander, a little bit less enjoyable. And of course, I'm going to choose the second option. I want to get it over with. I want to get it done. I want to be efficient. I'm not going to eat that bland diet for the rest of my life, but there's a time and a place for everything. So I'm going to simplify things for myself. I have a busy life already, I have a company to run. You might have a busy life as well. So why put yourself in a situation where there are those temptations? And I understand there's different psychologies. Some people don't have a problem moderating. They can eat a couple of bits and pieces of something and just leave it. I'm not operating like that. If I start with a bag and 2 chips, I'm going to eat the whole thing, and I'm going to eat everything else that's in the house. So I have to make sure that I know my food drive, that I'm managing my food drive. I'm trying to lower it as much as possible when I'm dieting. And this is exactly what I recommend for you if you find that you have that high food drive like me and your psychology is similar to mine. There's always an alternative. I know there's a lot of popular approaches, but think about it. If you know yourself, think about when do you slip up? Because those slip-ups really slow you down. And this might really be that thing that is causing those slip-ups. You simply run out of willpower. You simply crack under all that pressure and that diet fatigue, especially as you get below 15% body fat, especially when you've been dieting for a long time. So manage your food drive. You will be really glad that you did so. Now, the second thing that's going to really speed up your fat loss results on your fitness journey is if you go below the studio right now and smash that like button as hard as possible. It really means a lot to me to see your support. Now, moving on to the second point here, I like to do something I call 90% dieting. What this means in practice is that 90% of my meals week to week are going to be the same with minimal variations. So for example, if I run out of blueberries, I might have some raspberries, but that's pretty much it. So if I'm dieting on 2,000 calories, which is 14,000 calories per week, that means 1,400 of those will be some variety. I'm going to eat out, order in, or whatever, but the majority of the diet is going to be the same. Why do I do this? I've done If It Fits Your Macros for years. I know the value of being able to incorporate any food you want into your diet, and I appreciate that. Knowing that I can do that is great, but I don't want that complexity. I don't want that micromanagement. I don't need a second job. I already have a company to run. I want to keep my life as stress-free as possible, so I like to keep the diet as simple as possible. So I'm gonna determine my optimal amount of calories, macros, micros, the food choices that I know are scientifically based, also that I like, that work for me, and I'm just gonna follow that plan 90% of the time. Makes it easier to be consistent, makes it easier for me to do groceries, makes it easier for me to prepare the food, makes it easier for me to know that I'm tracking correctly, makes it easier for me to know what's water retention and what's not. And overall, the theme here is easy. If I have an approach that's easier, and an approach that's more difficult, I'm going to choose the easy one, because dieting in itself is already stressful, it's already hard. Why make it even harder? So 90% dieting does that for me. Maybe it's going to do the same for you. I think it's definitely worth a try. Now, the third thing that has massively improved my fat loss results over the years and increased the speed at which I can get to 10% body fat is that I'm not dieting as often. In the last 3 years, I've done 2 fat loss phases. Both of those were 8 weeks long. And in those 8 weeks, I've actually surpassed the results that I've done previously in 12 to 16 weeks. And why is that? Well, prior to these 8-week diets, I was lean gaining for at least a year. So a year out of a calorie deficit, a year where I wasn't thinking dieting. I was focused on building muscle. I was focused on increasing strength levels or maintaining my physique. So I was actually excited about doing a little bit of a cut for 8 weeks, and I was very, very efficient. I was 100% committed to it. I didn't dabble around. I got the job done. I was going a little bit more aggressive as well because I could. There was no diet fatigue. Think about where you were in the last 5 years with your goals and with your physique. Are you spending that time building muscle, majority of that time? Or are you spending that time chasing different diets? Are you spending that time restricting, building up more and more diet fatigue, kind of getting stuck nowhere? Maybe you're not cutting, maybe you're not gaining, maybe you're somewhere in between, not sure what you're doing. And this is exactly what slows down your results. There's that lack of overall commitment to something because you're just lost in between. I found for me personally, I was there as well. When I was permacutting, I would gain a pound, I would suddenly freak out and I want to quote unquote clean up, go back to dieting. But then I'm not building muscle, I'm dieting for another couple of weeks and then I gain again. And just overall, it's too much time spent dieting. So you want to be very efficient, reconsider your approach. Think long-term how to plan this out. Highly also recommend subscribing below. Make sure to hit that bell icon for notifications. Details for coaching if you want to work with me are in the description below. Check those out and I will see you in my next video.